Welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and today I'm joined by not one, but two beautiful guests that are going to share with you all about their journey in direct selling. I'm going to be joined in this episode by the beautiful Penny Inches and Sam Norrie, who are both Partylite affiliates, but the both of them have been in direct selling with Partylite for years, and they have got an incredible experience in the business. But what they're specifically going to talk to us about today in this episode is their journey through the challenges, through the starting of a direct selling business, through managing personal and work life, and some of those little struggles that lead to great successes. The both of them became masters of recruiting in their business and now run their own coaching businesses, helping others in direct selling do the same. I know that you're going to love this episode. It's filled with laughs. It's filled with great stories that I know are going to reach out to so many of our listeners today. You guys are going to feel akin to these beautiful ladies, and I know that a lot of you are going to go, wow, okay, if only I'd known that just a little bit sooner. I love how real they both are, and I know that you're going to really, really enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed recording it for you. So join me. Jump on in, listen in, make sure you've got your pen and paper ready because as always, there's going to be loads of golden nuggets speckled all throughout this episode. So tune in and enjoy. Hey everybody, and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam and I'm joined by these two gorgeous ladies today. We've got the beautiful Penny Inches and Sam Norrie. Welcome on in, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so excited to be here.
Now, I'm really excited for this chat today, but we were just having a little bit of a laugh because I just asked the girls, how do you want me to introduce you? What are your titles? And so we had to laugh at, I feel like this is the direct selling story. Penny, what were all the titles you just rattled off?
Right. So mum and wife, and then I've been in the direct selling industry for 15 years. And in that time, I went from being a consultant to a regional vice president. And then the company rejigged the business back in October, and I became an affiliate, and then I was a VIP affiliate, and now I am the affiliate ambassador team leader. So yeah, there's a journey. Hey, but that's so true for direct selling. Most
it really is, isn't it?
It's a journey. It's a journey.
The story of direct selling life, right?
Absolutely.
So Sam, would you like to tell us a little bit about your title, which I think we should just make one up today. Whatever you want.
I love the word entrepreneur. I think it just makes everybody sound so much more fabulous. But look, much the same as Penny. So yeah, I'm a mom. I'm a partner. Queen every now and then. Why not?
Queen bees. We are queen bees because we did also start a new business at the start of the year as well.
Absolutely.
So queen bees together. Awesome. I like that. Queen bee.
But look, absolutely the same. I worked up that journey as well. So yeah, lots of titles, but yeah.
Awesome. So the both of you are, technically speaking, if we're going to get down to it, Partylite affiliates, because Partylite has been through a bit of a shift and a change. And so affiliate is the new, I guess, title. But also, Penny, you are an affiliate ambassador team leader. What does that mean?
So basically, back in the end of June, I was recruited by Partylite and to work for the head office, the support office, and basically I coordinate a small team of ambassadors that does all the training, the motivation, information, and all that sort of stuff. We're kind of the connection point between the support office and the affiliates, the thousands of affiliates around Australia. Yep. So we do, weekly training sessions and live pop-ups and all that sort of stuff, bringing information and motivation to the field of affiliates around Australia.
Awesome. And so, Sam, have you got 4 kids, did you say?
Yeah.
I think we had this conversation. Yeah. It's like the Sams have got a very similar life
going on. It's like a total, your life feels like mine.
So tell me a little bit about your family life, Sam.
All right. So we're very much a blended family, but we have, look, my boys are amazing. So I have a 25-year-old stepson, Zach, and then my oldest, he's 22. So Scott. Then I have Riley, who's 15, and we have Jacob together, who is 7. So, very busy household.
So we had to laugh because I've got a Riley who's 15 as well. And I don't know if your Riley is like my Riley, but I'm not going to share any of my stories today.
It's the name.
Oh, dear. Actually, I will tell you something funny. Just on the weekend, our 9-year-old had a little bit of a tantrum. And the 15-year-old afterwards turned around to me and he went, I feel like I remember when I was doing that to you. He goes, was I like that? And I said, yes, you were. And he went, I am so sorry.
Oh, that's cute. I got told by my 7-year-old this morning he didn't have to listen to me because he's almost a teenager now.
Oh,
and teenagers don't have to listen to them.
7 going on 13.
So, yeah, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. While I was making his eggs.
Yep. Yeah, while you were making his breakfast. Hurry up, Mum. Love it. So, ladies, tell us a little bit. I mean, maybe we'll start with you, Penny. You sort of touched on how long you've been in this industry for.
Yeah.
The thing I love about both of you is you've walked the walk, and you've sort of got to the point where you're now able to help other people walk the walk as well. And we really wanted to dive into that and talk a bit about that today. But Penny, can you tell us a bit about your experience in the industry? How long have you been around in the industry for? Why you jumped into direct selling in the first place?
Yeah, sure. So 15 years ago, I joined Partylite. I'd fallen in love with the products, and that's where a lot of direct selling people's journey starts. They fall in love with a product. I, at the time, was a stay-at-home mum with 2 kids, and I live in a relatively small country town, and I was going slightly around the twist. I was looking for something, but I still wanted to have that flexibility of being a stay-at-home mum. And so I was like, well, you know what? I'll give it a try. I'd never done anything like direct selling before. I'd worked in tourism. I'd worked in retail, in retail shops, but nothing never done my own business sort of thing and done direct sales before. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go and let's see what happens. Let's see how far I can take this. I discovered I loved it. Back then it was all about going out and doing the in-home parties, and I absolutely loved it. I found that I loved it. I was good at it, and my business grew really quick, really strong, really quick. And I just started punching out goals month in, month out. Would have I imagined back when I started that I'd still be here 15 years later? No, I wouldn't. But it worked. And then I had a third child, my youngest. So I've got Ethan, who's 21, Zoe, who's just literally this last week turned 19, and then my youngest is 13 and a half. So I was able to, continue to run my business while I was pregnant, and even when I had Yolanda. It was actually really funny because obviously, often when you go out to do the in-home parties, it's predominantly a group of women, and one of the things is you build relationships with those customers and those hosts over time. So they'd all seen me while I was pregnant, trundling my little bag of goodies in and out, and I did parties right up until a couple of weeks before my daughter was born. And I just, I trundled in with my goodies, and they're all like, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm good to go. Sat down, did my presentation. And then, of course, they were all like, so how soon will you keep doing parties after you've had her? Like, we want to meet the baby. And I was like, oh, well, I'll give myself a couple of weeks. But I was back doing parties when she was about 3 weeks old, and I would take her to the parties. And she just got handed around. Like, you've got a dozen women in the room, and they'd look after her while I did my demo.
Icebreaker. All right, so there's your first hot tip right there, everybody. If you want to know how to break the ice at a party, just have another baby. All right?
Exactly.
I love that. And Sam, what about your journey into the business and into the industry?
Yeah, look, mine started quite differently to Penny's. I actually run a hairdressing salon as well. So I have been in my salon for about 20 years. For me, I went to a party and I remember it was my sister's house. It was in Cooma, so an hour from me. And I remember her begging me, please come, please come. So I remember driving up the highway thinking, this is ridiculous. I don't even like candles. And I said to her, I will be a bum on a seat. That was literally all I was going there for. And I remember seeing this product. I loved it. Yes, I booked a party. Yes, I shopped up a storm. And it wasn't until I was probably done my third party with the same consultant. And each time she'd say, oh, you should join. But I'm too busy, like really, really crazy busy. And then I went, you know what? They were actually giving away a really, really good joining offer. So I thought, all right, I'll do it. I'll do what I need to do to get my sales. And bang, that was it, done. Wow. Of course, like any company, when you join, you must go and do a couple of parties. So I remember going, one of my young girls at work, she was 14 at the time. She's like, oh, I'll do a party. And she invited all of her friends and, of course, her mum. And I got to this party. There was a house full of 14 and 15-year-olds, and she'd offered to bake cupcakes. So what do you get when you have a house full of 14-year-old girls and one mum? No sales, because they don't have money. They ate lots of cupcakes. I walked in with 2 perfectly organised bags. I walked out with about 7 bags and a few extra arms to help me, because nothing goes back into the same boxes. But look, sales, I did maybe $37, but I did get a party booking from one of her mum's friends. And that's where my journey began, even bigger. So, I think of that party all the time. That's where I started, because on my second party, I loved it. And I enjoyed, like as Penny said before, they're mostly women. So for me, being as busy as I was with the boys, with the business, to actually get there and do my candle parties, that was me time, but it was also me interacting with other women. So I actually found that my candle parties were my social life. Yep. So I loved it. Yep. And much like Penny's pregnancy story, absolutely, up until the day, like when I found out I was pregnant, everything was running great, running smoothly, but then all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, I'm going to have to take mat leave. Yeah. How am I going to afford to live? So, I can't cut hair whilst I have a baby, but I can definitely sell candles. So absolutely right up until the day I had Jacob as well, I was out there doing parties. He was 5 days old when I did my first party back, mainly because the lady said, I want to meet your son. You have to bring him. We'll do a candle party. So I think for the next 3 months, I was getting messages saying, let's book a party, but you have to bring your baby. So, all of a sudden it became a hobby that, was my social life, but then it had to become an income. But the beauty of direct selling, you can be a mum and still work. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Awesome. And I love hearing that story, because the thing that actually stands out to me the most was the fact that you came to a party for the first time. I know you guys would have heard me use that analogy during your Boost conference, where I talked about the animals behind the trees. And it's a weird analogy, but I talk about the fact that on social media, but it's not just on social media, we're using that as an example because that's what we're working with a lot right now. But in general, with a lot of your customers, they're listening and they're watching and they're paying attention for a long time, typically before they make that decision. Yeah. And you need to date your customers. And the fact that you had that first party, reluctantly went to that first party, and then it took you doing 3 parties, which essentially is that consultant dating you, getting to know you, you forming that trust, not just with the consultant, but also with the product and the company. And then once you came in, you were sold out for it. And I love that. And I think it's also great to hear that, you know what, someone who's done incredibly well in the business still had a really shitty first experience at a party.
Absolutely. You will always get them. I mean, the direct selling industry, it can be an absolute roller coaster, but you know what, it's you've got to have stickability. Like, if you want to know how do you succeed? How does someone be successful in a direct selling business? Honestly, stickability has probably got to be one of the biggest things, because you're going to have times where you have like a dud dud event, dud party, whatever, like so much of us, what we do now is all online. You'll have a dud event and you're like, oh my gosh. And it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Nobody's buying anything.
So much can come out of it. So much can come out of the dud event though. Like for me,
exactly.
It is what built my business, because the next party, I got 3 party bookings, great sales. Yeah. And that's where it was. So without my dad, I wouldn't have what I've got now.
Exactly.
It's really interesting. I heard Greg say something the other day to one of the kids, and I was like, I've got to use that. That'll preach. That's so good. He said to them, without the salty, you can't ever understand the sweet.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's just like what you're saying there. If you don't have a dud party, how are you ever going to know what a great party is?
Yep.
And if you have this expectation that every party you're going to do like $1,000 and get 3 party bookings, and then suddenly you have a dud one, which is really a relatively normal occurrence, then what happens to your expectations? Do you quit? What do you do with that?
That's what I mean. You've got to stickability. And that's the thing too. I always looked at every time I went and did an event, and same doing it, whether you're doing that as an online event or an in-person event, depending on, where you are in this country at the moment and all those things. I always looked at it as an opportunity. You never knew what was going to come out of it. 9.5 times out of 10, you were going to get something out of it. Probably the percentage is probably really realistically higher than that. But, it was always an opportunity. You didn't know where you're going to end up with huge sales, or where you're going to end up with lots of bookings, or where you're going to meet your next team member who then turns into a super seller. You just don't know, and you won't know if you don't try, and that's always been a really big philosophy for me as well. You won't know if you don't try. So just go out and try, see what happens.
Yeah. And I think the other thing with that too is that if you come in with a hidden agenda of what you want to achieve, it's really funny. Sometimes you can feel really disappointed because you didn't get that. But then when you stop and take a bigger look at it and you go, hang on a second, I didn't get that thing I thought I was going to get, but I got something different over here, or far better in a different way. And, it's very much the same, I think, with any business. But, it's if we go into a conference or an event and we assume that we're going to be achieving this, or, that this is going to be the outcome for us, sometimes we miss the beauty of what happens over here.
And I'm sure everybody can relate when you get that phone call, 2 hours before your party, and the host will call and say, oh my God, I'm going to have to cancel. I've literally got 3 people coming. 3 is a good number. I have been to parties where I've had 3 people and they shopped up a storm. Yep. I've been to parties with 11 and, not so much. So I think it's more about, going out there and just seeing. Again, it's not always a dud, because it still is something. It's creating something else.
Yeah. And if nothing else, and I feel like I shouldn't say if nothing else, because I feel like this is probably the most important thing, is that sales aside, bookings aside, it's about the relationship, isn't it? Yeah, because that person, that host, becomes an advocate for you.
Definitely.
And even if, they come out the other side and the sales weren't great, the bookings weren't great, but you've still invested in them, they still feel a greater connection to you at the end of that.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to take a bit of a bum steer here, because I know that we talked about what we were going to talk about, but I'm totally sorry, you guys. We're talking about parties and the fact that you both love in-home parties so much. Yeah. But the thing is that I know not only has our world gone so virtual in the last 18, 24 months, so that in itself was a change, but Partylite also has shifted from in-home to more of an affiliate program. How has that changed for the both of you? And how have you taken your skill set of that in person and applied it in a different way online?
Yeah. Well, look, when COVID sort of first hit last year and we all went into lockdown, what was that, back in March or something, I knew I had to take it online. So the way to and like you said, Sam Hines, so because we were 2 Sams here.
You can, I don't know, I should give myself, you can call me Sammy and
Sammy.
Everyone's going to go, who's she talking to?
We had, a big part of the direct selling industry is building relationships, right? And when you're trying to do that online, there's kind of a certain way you got to do it, and how you do it is going live. Doing live events, doing Facebook lives in your customer groups and on your page, and that's really what I did. So when we couldn't go out to do events anymore, I went from doing maybe one live a fortnight in my customer groups to doing them like a couple of times a week. Not quite every day, but I was doing them I went to probably about 3 a week. Plus I transitioned over into doing online parties, online events. And again, I played around with what that looked like. And look, to be honest, at the start, I totally did it like I was in someone else's home doing the demo. I set up my dining room table with a product demo, same as if I was in someone else's home. And I had my youngest daughter got roped into being my camera woman, because then she could also read the comments back, so people could comment. So I was going, I mostly did them in a Facebook group, like a party group.
Yep.
And she'd be able to read the comments back to me. And I basically did the demo the same as what I did if I was in someone else's home. It just happened to be my own dining room that we were doing it. And I had, a group of people at home. And then I would offer to do one-on-one shopping with them over the phone afterwards. Same as if you go out and do an in-home event, you do a demo and you do one-on-one shopping time with them. Again, it's that chance to build a relationship with the customer, make sure you meet all their needs, etc. And so I basically replicated what I would do in an in-home to the online world.
Yeah.
It's evolved over the last 18 months and stuff, but lives are still very much a part of it, because again, that's how people get to know you, and you've got to build your personal brand. And, and I still do virtual events. I don't do them as much as I used to, only because my business focus has shifted a bit. So, but they're definitely it's the best way in an online space to build your business, to reach new people, and to build those relationships, let people see who you are. So, that's just like that.
Yep. just that's it.
That's like that. I don't know. I always say to people, just go live. Just do it. Just go live. Be you. Be human.
That's evil. Sam, how about you? How did you transition into that?
Yeah, look, I'm going to say, I think for me, it was probably the best thing that ever happened, to be honest. I did love my parties. Like I say, for me, it was my social life. But when you have a big social life, you sort of forget the family life. So look, I'm not going to lie, for me, once we couldn't actually get out there and do the in-home parties, I found I had more time with my family. I had more weekends. I had my nights back to myself. Look, I did have to do a few extra nights at the salon, sort of keep that income coming in, but I used my social media as well, kept growing my team. And of course, I found that by shifting and actually doing everything online, people would come to me. I guess we were lucky because, yes, Partylite did change to the affiliate program, and it became more about my customers going onto my e-shop and actually shopping themselves anyway, which, let's face it, people love doing that too. So I actually think for me, being in sort of that pivot point, that changeover, it actually helped me grow, because I found, being in front of my computer with my products at home, how many times do you go to a party and think, oh, what am I going to take? I could literally take a truck, because I would just want to share it with everyone. So doing that from home, it's great. It's all here. So I actually found I would do tours of my home. Instead of having a little setup area, I use my product every single room. So I remember one of my best lives, like Penny, yes, live is best. One of my best lives where I got the most sales and the most interaction was in my toilet. I literally took mind you, I cleaned it top to bottom. I have boys, remember?
I feel like there is never a good time when you've got boys.
I cleaned it, kicked them out. Look, I just showed people how I use it in my home, and I found for me that was really good, because then they would then take themselves to my e-shop, they would buy, and that's how I did it. So look, for me, it was a great change. Because
now you've got me really curious about what you do in your toilet. But apparently I also need.
So also having a family of boys, you need all sorts of fragrance in there. You need your 24/7 fragrance. You need your instant right now fragrance, and you definitely need something to decorate it and pretty it up. So
all right, sounds like I need to go to your online shop after this podcast. I think I love more than a bit of shopping. Yeah. So with work-life balance, you both sort of just touched on the fact that you had family to work in, and you've been with the businesses for long time. So I know that there's been a shift, there's been a change. But how have you balanced? Because direct selling, for a lot of people, they look at it and go, okay, I could just work a few hours a week if I want to, and I can grow a business. But the truth is that you could also work 24 hours a day because there's no limit. You're not getting paid by the hour, you're getting paid for the effort that you put in. And so what I see often happens, particularly with leaders like the both of you, is that people sometimes don't know where to stop. So how did the two of you balance your business, growing your business, achieving what you wanted to achieve, but also that family balance at the same time as well? How have you managed that? What have you done?
I used to mark out time in my diary because, I still had an actual diary. It wasn't my phone. So Sundays was my family day, and I did not do anything on Sundays. I still would pick up my phone, though. I would take phone calls. So, let's face it, there's still little things that you need to do. And then one weekend a month, I would make sure that I literally had no parties booked in, and that's sort of the control that I had. Yep. Now that we have gone virtual, yes, I still find myself being on my phone a lot. So sometimes you do just have to put the phone down. But again, if you schedule, you do your posts that way and stuff, it does make a big difference. But look, definitely marking the time out. And I think too, like my customers would see that. So if I was booking in a party for somebody else, they would see that Sunday was my family day. I also enjoyed my weekends. So in direct selling, they say, yes, you can work anytime you like. It's your business. You pick your hours. Nobody wanted a candle party on a Monday at 10 a.m. when I didn't have any kids and I wasn't at work that day. So, yes, you can choose your own hours, but when your customers want the weekend, you have to have the weekend. Yeah. It actually took me 4 years to convert a lot of my weekend parties to a weekday. And, being a hairdresser, I would always work nights as well. So there was no difference in going and actually working a candle party. And I actually found that I loved the weeknight parties and my customers loved them as well. It's a great chance to have a glass of wine on a Wednesday night, leave the kids with hubby. He gets to do dinner. You duck home. So look, I sort of shifted the business to then start working around me, and I found that it worked for me and my customers. So you just have to make sure you make the time.
Yeah, I love that. How about you, Penny? How have you managed that balance over the years?
Yeah, well, look, it's evolved. It changed depending on circumstances. As the kids got older, when they were younger, all those sorts of things changed around. For a long time, I did the weekends, and then I started spinning it to doing weeknights. Being in a country town, I used to do a lot of travel for doing the in-home parties, and I would, I'd do that a few nights a week. And then the kids so I had the weekends home, and then the kids were like, no, actually, we'd rather you were at home every evening and that you went and did your parties on the weekends. So I flipped it and changed it. I went through stages where, probably the most consistent thing I did in, over 13 years of doing in-home parties, because you kind of got to rule out the last 18 months or so, but was Friday nights was pretty bloody constant, like in all those years, because all those years I used to do a minimum of 7 or 8 parties month in, month out, and I'd done that since the beginning. I used to do it as like 2 a week. Friday night was always a pretty consistent, and then I'd do like a Saturday afternoon, and then I was like, I got over that. Then I had someone want to do a Sunday brunch. And I went and I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. I went and did a Sunday brunch. I went, this is actually, I like this. So then for a while there, I crossed Saturdays out. So I didn't do parties on Saturdays. I do Friday nights and I do Sunday mornings. Like I used to do about 11 a.m. And then sometimes I'd also book in a Sunday afternoon one, and that was my events. And then in the last couple of years, I was doing a lot of my stuff. I'm 2 hours drive from the ACT, and I was doing a lot of my stuff in the ACT, and one of my sisters lives down there. So what I actually spun my business to do was that 2 weekends a month, I went to Canberra for the whole weekend. I stayed with my sister and I'd knock out like 4 or 5 parties in a weekend, and then I'd go home. And that was it. And that was my business done for the month. So just the 2 weekends a month doing that. Obviously there was some bit of, because even back then we were sort of, doing a bit of social media. I, not heaps, certainly not on the level that I do it these days, but I was still dabbling in it back then. And, you do some, customer follow-up. I had a big team by that point as well. I've been a lead. I was a leader with the company for a long, like within 12 months of joining Partylite. So, you're working with a team and all that sort of stuff as well. So, and then, so those sorts of things evolved. Then the side of the business of being home, because obviously I had a big, personal sales business, but also a big team. I had a team of leaders, again, dictating it around the kids. So I tried, once all of them were in school, once my youngest was in school as well, I tried to get all that sort of stuff done during school hours, so that of an evening I was home and I was free. I might answer the odd phone call if there was something particular. I might have to do a host coaching call, and it might have to be in the evening. I'd get dinner, get kids organised for bed, and all that sort of stuff, and then I'd be making a call at 8 or 8:30. So I think it's just, and I'm a big believer in to-do lists and prioritizing your to-do lists as well. It's definitely.
We've talked about this. You're a bit of an organizer, aren't you?
Yeah.
Don't even pull out the highlighters. No.
Like almost. And because these days I'm juggling 3 different jobs besides kids, because I'm actually still, I still sell the Partylite products, but then I've also got this leader role with the company as well. And then Sam and I, started up our Be Successful coaching business at the start of the year. So, I have highly different colors for different things. Yellow is Partylite head office stuff. Pink is our Be Successful stuff. It should probably be the other way around, because we use very much yellow and black logo. But green is my selling of candle stuff. And then family stuff is just like really giant text in my diary.
I love it.
Everything's color-coded as to what it is, and prioritized.
Have you guys ever heard of the Enneagram?
No.
It's personality profiling. It talks about the 9 different personality types. Very, very cool.
We've done something similar.
Yeah. There's lots of different things out there. You've got disc profiling, you've got all sorts of stuff. But the Enneagram is really cool, because it talks about the 9 different personality types. And you can actually do a free test online. But Penny, I'm just going to throw it out there right now. I reckon you're a 1, which is like the organizer. Everything needs to be in its place. And everyone can be a bit more organized than what they are, right?
Yeah.
But me too. Look, I'm not. I'm not perfect in the organised factor. I usually refer
compared to the rest of the world.
I normally refer to myself at being in a state of organised chaos, because But
no, that's what I say, and I'm pretty sure you'd look at my life and go, "That's just chaos."
I know what's going on up here, and I know where everything is, but when it's on paper, I'm like, "Whoa, that's really bad."
I've got about 5 different notebooks that are on the go, because it's whatever I can grab next. And then because I wrote that down somewhere. Where did I put it?
Okay.
I've
got a
2
hot
years
tip
later,
for
I'll
you.
find it and go on, that's where that went.
Got a hot tip for you. 1 notebook, and then have different folders for the different parts of your business. So it's always in the one notebook, and then once you kind of finish, you pull it out and you put it into a separate folder.
What?
Until you put it down somewhere and you can't find it. No.
Yeah, so
I have
I'm in my car. I need to write a note. Okay, on the back of the McDonald's wrapper from the kids' ice cream last night.
No.
I'll put that in that folder. That goes in that folder when I get to the office.
It's 1 notebook for everything, but then sorted out into different folders based on what part of your business it is. So
okay, all right. It sounds like I need Penny in my life.
Oh, absolutely. We all need a Penny, because she keeps me in line, let me tell you.
Yeah, I think Greg actually calls me Taz Devil, because he's like, I'm constantly, like, I'm typical entrepreneur. I'm constantly looking at the next thing. But behind me, I leave this crazy trail of like distraction and devastation that everyone else in the team has to like pick up behind me and figure out how to put it all together.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm working on that. Now, I want to bum steer again. I want to talk now a little bit about recruiting. Now, recruiting is something that the both of you, in our little chats in the lead up to this podcast interview, and we've had a chance to catch up a few times. And I've really learned that you guys built your businesses on recruiting, and it's also something that you love to help other people with as well. So I want to hear from you. What are, say, some key, because I know that recruiting for a lot of people is that key sticking point. It's that, that time,
mind block. It's a mind block for a lot
I
of
can
people.
sell a product, but to actually sell you the business is a little bit bigger and a little bit scarier to do. So how did the two of you go about in your own businesses about recruiting successfully? What are some of the things that you did that really helped you be successful at this?
All right.
Maybe start with you, Sam.
Yeah.
I don't normally have to throw to people.
I know. I didn't know Penny wanted to go then. Look, definitely it is a big part of every business. And I found with myself, the only way that let's face it, I had to go on trip. So to go on trip, you have to recruit. But look, I'm a big believer in telling my story as to why, because again, I wasn't someone who was looking at wanting to start a business. I already had one. You know, I wasn't someone who wanted to get out there and grow a team because I didn't have time to help people grow a team. Yeah. But I think by telling people my story and why I started, I found that other people would then sort of go, oh my God, that sounds really cool. I'll do that too. And then they start their team. So look, letting people know why you love it, why you did it, and not always the easy stuff. It's like when you go to a party and everything looks perfect. You're going to turn people off because you know, not everyone can do perfect, like make it look so easy. So, you know, you have to get it wrong sometimes. You have to make it look that, you know, there are hurdles. Let's face it. Trying to sell a business to someone isn't easy. But if you tell them why you love it, your goals, how you hit them, you know, why you love it so much and why you keep coming back, I find that's where you sort of, you make that connection with people. They want to give it a go. You know, best thing about direct selling is if you tell someone your story and they go, oh, yeah, no, not interested. It's okay. Keep telling your story because it will interest someone and they will want to give it a go. So, yeah, I've always been very big on the why.
Yeah, I love that. So powerful, your story. And I love as well the whole, let's just move away from perfection a little bit. And so true. I love that. How about you, Penny?
Yeah, look, I'm very passionate about the direct selling industry and the opportunity it provides to women. I'm going to have a proud out loud moment. I've actually been the top recruiter for Partylite nationally for the last 3 years in a row.
Wow.
And it is simply because, I mean, look, it's not simple to recruit, but it is simply because I offer that opportunity to everyone that I possibly can. But there's a whole mix that goes into it, you know, sharing your why, but also sharing like what's in it for them. How do they benefit? And I think where a lot of direct sellers have that mind block about recruiting is they think that they are asking for a favor. Yeah. And that can be a mind block when it comes to selling. It can be a mind block when you're trying to get bookings, and it can be a mind block when it comes to, you know, sponsoring / recruiting, depending on which company you're with as to how they term it, because you feel like you're asking for favors. Okay. And I think that's something you've really got to flip in your mindset and know that you have an amazing product. You have an amazing opportunity to offer other people. I mean, where else can you start a business for a minimal amount of money
and have all the marketing done for you,
and have all the marketing
and all the training done for you,
and all the training and all
product
those
development
sorts of things. Absolutely. All of those sorts of things. You know what? You never know what's going to come out of it. You know, it goes back to probably one of my favorite quotes. You won't know unless you try. You know,
Are you jumping ahead now?
Oh, sorry. But it's like, honestly, I mean, if I hadn't jumped into this business and thought, let's give it a go and see what happens, like what's the worst that's going to happen? It doesn't work. Yeah. You know, I didn't spend much money to get started and have a go. If I hadn't taken that step 15 years ago and, you know, like Sam said, she went to a few parties, you know, hosted a few parties and stuff. I joined on my first party I hosted, but I went to 3 parties before I actually booked a party. So, you know, it still took a few steps to get there. But if I hadn't said yes when the opportunity was offered to me, oh my God, there is so much I would have missed out on.
Yeah.
So much, you know. I'm so incredibly grateful for everything that I have been able, you know, being provided with that opportunity to receive, to earn, to enjoy, to be rewarded. And I want to give that opportunity to others. For me, it's especially women, because you know what? You can come into a direct selling business from any background. It does not matter what your background is. It doesn't matter whether you've ever done anything like this before. Anyone can come in and have a go.
Yep.
Okay. Does it always work out for everybody on a hugely successful level? No, it doesn't. But you won't know if you don't try. And if I hadn't been offered that opportunity, I would be so much the poorer for it. And I don't just mean financially.
Yeah.
And so I think that's got to be part of your mindset is, you know what, you've had a really great opportunity offered to you. Offer that opportunity to others as well, because you just don't know where it might lead for that person.
Yeah.
Who knows where it's going to take them?
I love what you're saying about the just asking and the fact that you've done really well in recruiting, not because you do anything necessarily different to anybody else, but you're offering the opportunity. I saw a really great quote the other day, which I think really ties into this, which is if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Absolutely.
And so I just think that that's really, really powerful and a little reminder that you don't know where somebody else is at.
No.
But what you said, Penny, is really true about making it about them. What's in it for them? You know, it's something that I'm constantly pulling our team back for as well. So with any marketing that we put together, with any marketing that we get others to put together, if they're creating their social media content within our trainings, we'll always ask them, hang on a minute, how is that about what the person at the other end is going to get out of it? This is about what you want right now. What do they get? What is the call to action for them, or what is the benefit to them of joining the business, buying this product, having a party? What do they get? Not what do you get? What do they get?
Exactly.
Rather than telling them why they should, it's more about tapping into what they care about. You know, it's really funny. We and you know, in businesses aside from direct selling, this is a standard teaching when it comes to sales is what is the objection for the person, because sometimes we assume it's going to be about money or it's going to be about perception of status, etc. But you don't know unless you ask those qualifying questions. So when you ask someone to join, you ask them if they're going to buy, you might assume it's because that they can't afford the product or they don't want the product or because they don't have enough time to join the business until you ask a few questions to understand the reason that at the moment they're saying no is because you just haven't answered enough questions for them. So
they haven't given you haven't given them enough information about how it might work for them, how it might help them. You know, and I think if you can, come at it from a position of abundance, you know, and being generous as well, you know, give that same opportunity to others, because, you know, you just don't know who you might be helping out. You don't know what someone's situation is. And you might sort of think, oh, well, you know, they're a full-time teacher. They're not going to be interested in this. You know what? You don't know what's actually going on.
I had a lady join because she loved recognition. And,
there you go. That's another one.
You get recognition. I mean, I was one of those people too. You know, in current jobs, you don't get recognized. You don't get free holidays. Now, you have to work to go, but it's not an offer in some people's businesses. So if you can work towards a recognition or an offer of some sort or a holiday, people will give it a go because it's not what they're going to get in their 9-to-5 everyday jobs. So, you know, they may have the best. I've seen lawyers come on board in direct selling because you know, it's fulfilling. They're getting out there and
community connection, all of those things.
That's right.
And you know, it's interesting what you're saying as well, ladies, because I think the people are afraid of the no. The reason they don't ask is because they're like, what if they say no?
Yeah.
So what if they do? And on top of that, something I was taught, and I think you've just tapped onto that, a no is not a no. It's just not a no, not right now, because they don't have enough information or it's not the right time. But it doesn't mean it's a no, never. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard a no that was at never. It was just a not right now. You've got to kind of hear that and go, they're not saying no to you. They're saying no, not right now to the opportunity, but still ask the question.
Look, I had a new team member say to me one time, she was looking at, I mean, she's a team member now, but back then she was still a customer. And she said, I'm looking for a second job. And as I said, why? She said, I can't go any higher where I am. I want to get more money. So second job. And I actually sold her the business. Like, why not? You need a second job, but why go and work wherever for whatever they were paying for 10 hours on a weekend? Go and do a party.
That's exactly right.
And she still is with me now. So, you know,
and that comes from observation and listening as well, Sam. And that's something we can miss often when we're so busy telling people that we stop listening. We stop getting to know them and asking those simple questions that you probably asked because you were connecting with them and building that relationship. And she wouldn't have told you that otherwise. So powerful stuff there. Now, I know that we need to wrap up. So I do want to just ask you guys the key questions here. These are like the most important questions. You ready? Now, I know Penny's already jumped ahead here, but you might have have another one up the sleeve. So one of my questions was, what's your favourite quote?
All right, so we heard Penny's. Do you want to refresh what yours is, Penny?
You won't know if you don't try. That's probably one of my favorites.
I love it. Yep.
Yeah. Live for the moment you can't put into words. I find this one to me, you know, when you just get that excited or that happy, but, you know, there's words that just don't explain it. So be in that happy, be where you're speechless, which doesn't normally happen for me. So,
I love that. So good. And favourite books. We are building an Accelerator book list for our Accelerator members. So favourite book. You can give us more than one if you want to. We will be okay with that.
Like business learning
can
book,
be anything,
or something
any
I
book.
love to read.
It can be anything. We've had fiction novels, we've had PD books, we've had personal growth, we've had everything. You name it. Audible.
Right. Okay, so like 99% of my like book reading is for pleasure. Sort of research stuff I actually do tend to, you know, do on the computer, do online. But if people are looking for learning within the direct selling industry, I'm actually a big follower of an American direct selling coach called Belinda Ellsworth. And she has written a book, Direct Selling for Dummies. Yes. So that is definitely.
I think I've got that one on my shelf over here.
It is a really great go-to book. And you know, having spent years in the direct selling industry, learning, teaching, you know, all those sorts of things, I know most of what's in her book. But when I need inspiration, or I'm trying to write a new piece or a new training or whatever, sometimes what I find is going back into it, and it just kind of pinpoints again for you. When it comes to pleasure reading, I'm a massive historical fiction fan, and I'll share my two favorite authors. One is probably not well known. Her name is Georgette Heyer. She wrote Regency novels and lots, and I actually collect hers. She started writing in 1921, and I've collected first editions, and I've been reading her since I was a teenager. And then I'm a massive Outlander fan, Diana Gabaldon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And again, I've been reading those books for over 20 years. So before the TV series was even invented.
You know, I only just found out, because I've watched Outlander, but I only just found out there were books. I didn't know.
They're brilliant. And I've read them over and over again, and book 10 is coming out in November. I've already pre-ordered my copy, and when it arrives in my letterbox, I will be signing out of social media and everything for 48 hours. I will be signing out of my family. I would say, here's my credit card, go buy takeaway, because I will be sitting down and I will read that cover to cover in 48 hours.
Wow. Okay, Sam.
I'm addicted.
So I actually was never really a big book reader, but lately I had been. So look, Nicholas Sparks is definitely a favourite of mine. I'm a big romantic at heart.
Yep.
Love reading love stories through the eyes of someone else. So yes, Nicholas Sparks, big one for me. However, when it comes to sort of direct selling, building my business, that sort of stuff, one that I actually really did like was 5 Love Languages.
Oh, that's a great book. Yeah.
So to actually sit there and see all the different ways to connect with people, you know, that was a good one for me. And another one was pulling at the purse strings. I actually really enjoyed that one. A little bit about, you know, just how to word things that makes a woman go, I need that. Like, I
love that. All right, I have to check
for the life of me, I can't remember her name, but I remember her telling me a wonderful story about her buying this jacket one time. You know, it was a very expensive jacket, and you've got those, you know, two voices all of a sudden, when one's going, buy it, and the other one's going, wait, you've got a mortgage, don't buy it. So she'd literally talked herself out of buying it. But as she turned, she sort of hit the jacket, and this little tag popped out, and it said free umbrella. And she went, sold. So, you know, the book actually goes through, and it just teaches you a few little other ways how, you can pull at the purse strings in a good way.
I love that. Clever.
People, I'll get you the name of the author. But, just you know, that little cherry on top. What is it that you need to say to make them go, yes? Because we do fight, and I'm sure women.
I reckon I've got 4 voices in my head.
Oh, my God, there's the evil, there's the, you know, the one that sort of tries to talk common sense, and then there's the one that goes, oh, you'll get paid again next week, you know. And then there's the one that goes, just sell some more candles. No. I love that voice.
And then there's your husband's voice, and that one's
that's a real voice. Damn it.
Outside of my head. Well, what we'll do is we'll put all of those in the show notes so that if anyone wants to check those books out, they can. Now, really quickly, if you could have any superpower, what would it be, Sam?
Oh, I wrote this down, creating extra hours in the day or days of the week. Totally.
No explanation needed on that one. Penny?
I wish I had a magic wand so I could fix the things that I wanted to fix.
Yep.
So,
okay.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of deeper stuff behind that one, but there are days where I just wish I had a magic wand and I could just wave it and fix that issue that was in front of me, whatever that might be. Just be able to go.
Do you know, I used to, when I was a kid, daydream about having like 10 wishes throughout your lifetime. If you could have 10 wishes throughout your lifetime. And the reason I used to daydream about this was because I used to think that today is definitely a day that I would use one of my wishes to have my bedroom clean. And it's like later on in life, you realize that your perspective is totally wacko and out, right? But the wishes is a big one. So that then brings me to another one, and Penny, you might want to continue on with this, is if you could go back in time and say one thing to your past self, what would it be?
I don't know, because I think I give so many things a go. I honestly don't think I've really got any major regrets. Like, I try to live every day like it is important, like you don't know, nobody knows what's around the corner, and I've had that.
You wouldn't even just kind of whisper in there and go, COVID is coming.
COVID is coming. No, because you know what?
I feel like if you could say anything, invest in Zoom.
That's right. No, you know what? Because I think we've learned so much about ourselves and the world around us through Zoom as well. I think take every opportunity, take every opportunity that you can, but then that's what I do. Like I honestly, I do. I live and breathe. Just make the most of every day that you can. Make the most of every opportunity that comes your way. Don't live with regret. Don't do, that, oh, I wish I had sort of thing, and I just think that's really important. So I know that's sort of probably, that's not what would my younger self say to now, but that is probably what I would continue to say to myself as I continue through life. And I'd say to everybody, take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way, because you just don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what life's going to look like going forward. So just, make the most of every opportunity that comes your way and never stop doing that.
Awesome. And what about you, Sam? If you could say one thing to your past self, what would it be?
Just do it for me. I think you wake up every day. I wish I could tell my old self that every day is a new day. Try everything, because I think for so long, growing up, I had my first baby so young. I was 18, fresh on 18. But then he taught me then, I was a mum all of a sudden. I had to be good. I bought my first house at 19. I wish I had have invested better back then too, let me tell you. But look, I think some days I would waste so many days dwindling about what I didn't do. Now, since turning 40 this year, very exciting. Now I'm looking after my health, and now I'm doing all the things that I wish I had have tried. So, if I could tell my older self something, just love life. Just wake up and do. Now I wake up and I run every morning, and I'm not a morning person, but I'm up at 6 a.m. and I'm in the bush and I love it. And I wish I had have done that my entire life.
And everyone just went, I'm out now. She just made me feel better.
Just become a morning person. That's probably the way to put it. And that's the thing, you can turn anything you put your mind to, you can make it happen.
Yeah, what made you go? And I know, we have to wrap up, but what made you go from not being a morning person to being a morning person? Because I'd like to be a morning person.
I felt great doing it. I used to get up and go to the gym at 5 a.m. every morning. And I remember saying to the trainer, you need to sign me up. And it was a lot of money. I said, because if I don't, I'm not going to. So
so put the pressure on yourself.
So I had to. But I was indoors and I didn't enjoy the indoors. I enjoyed outdoors. So then I thought, I already had that routine to get up and do something. And my whole life, I wished I was one, those ladies who would get up and run every morning. But there were so many other excuses why you can't or won't or don't. So I just started little steps at a time. I do 3K and think, oh, that's great. Well, for the last 5 days, I've done 10K. So, and you feel good. So that's what makes it better, is because that's why I keep doing it, because all of a sudden I'm a size 8 and I love it. And so, I feel good, but not just like in myself, I feel great. So I'll keep going now.
Love it. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I know we're going to have to wrap up and finish up. I feel like I could talk to you for another couple of hours, and we've only just scratched the surface here. I was like, we should have talked about mornings and routines and others, and highlighting and organisation. We've got so much more in this. But what we'll do is we'll pop some links in the show notes for our listeners. If they want to connect with you guys, they can. If they want to find out a little bit more about what you guys do now, and also those books that you guys recommended throughout. So thank you so much for your time today. It's been really, really great chatting and laughing with you both. I appreciate you taking this time out. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting us to do this. It's been really, really fun. So we hope that it's been valuable to everyone listening, and then you guys got some inspiration and some takeaways from it. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in again. We look forward to seeing you all again next week. But God bless and bye for now.